Some people just can't do it. Some people they're just not that smart. The reality is some fighters just are kind of dumb, right? So like that's why we talk to fighters the way we do.
Can't
Shut
name
up
any
and
names,
run.
Dean. No, I'm just kidding. What's up, everybody? Laura Sanko here, as always, joined by the great Dean Thomas. We're talking UFC 290 co-main event, Brandon Moreno versus Alexandre Pantoja for the Flyweight title. Amazing co-main event for UFC 290. Moreno finally fighting someone not named Figueiredo. And I guess Kai Kara France as well. We did have that fight too. But this is an interesting one. This is a really interesting one. And the storyline that we're already talking about, you're going to hear a lot about this week, is the fact that these two have fought twice before. And both times, Alexandre Pantoja won. So first of all, it was on their season of Tough. Alexandre Pantoja submitted Brandon Moreno, and then they fought... I think it was 2018. They fought again. And while it was a decision, it was pretty much a beat down in terms of Alexandre beating Brandon Moreno. So it's an interesting backdrop in that sense. But I think we can all agree that we're dealing with two very different fighters here. Would you agree, Dean?
Oh my God. I mean, it's night and day. You can't really take that it's almost like those times were amateurs. And Brandon Moreno has grown tremendously since that time. Like the amount of information that he's been able to receive since those fights is just tremendous. And we can't neglect that. We have to take that into account. Pantoja is a fantastic fighter. He's an aggressive. He's in your face. He's a bully type fighter, but he's going to be dealing with a different guy. Sometimes, like when you go into these situations, you think, okay, does Pantoja still have it?
Mm-hmm.
To beat him 3 times. I'm not sure Pantoja's that much different than he was when he fought him the first couple of times.
Yeah.
But Brandon Moreno's completely different. So I don't see it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's crazy when you're forced to sit back and think about, when you go back and watch those fights and you look at Brandon Moreno on The Ultimate Fighter, to be honest with you, it's alarming. It's like, man, this kid he's not ready. Like he is.
Look, he was the last pick on his team. That was for a reason. He sucked.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is like, I had always, not always, but like it had been a while since I'd watched those fights. And when in recent times we've, leading into the Figueiredo fights, when we would talk about that, it was always in the context of he was picked last and he shouldn't have been, because he went on to be this great thing. And now I realize, like you just said, he was picked last for a reason, because
he sucked
at the time he was not very good.
Right.
He has, I mean, to face that, I'm assuming he had a moment of, or several moments of honesty with himself. Have that honesty, figure out what you needed to fix, and then to do the work to actually go on and fix it and to grow into one of the greatest flyweight champions of all time is absolutely incredible to see. Absolutely incredible to see. So like, I if you guys have extra time, highly recommend you go back and watch those fights, because you're going to appreciate the game of Brandon Moreno so much more now. But I guess my question, Dean, is obviously Alexandre Pantoja knows that Brandon Moreno is a very different fighter now. And Brandon knows that as well about himself. But is there still just a little thing in the back of your mind, if you're Brandon Moreno, that, man, this guy beat me twice?
No, not at all. I mean, I don't even think, even if he was the same fighter, I would think that Brandon Moreno's the type of fighter that's like, yo, I'm gonna keep fighting until I win. Like this is what I do. Like that Mexican spirit. We can't underestimate that. Like that Mexican spirit is gonna keep coming. It's gonna keep him alive to continue to keep fighting until he finally gets a win. And I think that we oftentimes neglect the importance of information, and because we oftentimes associate fighting with heart, strength, size. That's why we have weight classes. But information is the most important thing when it comes to fighting. It will determine how good of a fighter you are, the amount of information you have. And every time I do a seminar, I always start the seminar off with this. I would never be able to beat anybody that's fighting today when I was fighting, because of the information I had. I didn't have the information that you guys have. Pantoja, or not Pantoja, but Brandon Moreno didn't have the information back when he fought Pantoja before. He didn't have the information. He does now.
Yeah.
He has the information now. He is a completely different fighter, and it's not like he's going to be bigger and stronger and faster. He just has better information, and and because of that, he is going to be very difficult to beat because he already had all the other intangibles. One being Mexican.
It is a good intangible. It's a very good intangible.
Yeah, yeah. I know every once in a while I'm like, man, I wish I was Mexican. I'd be in a fight.
I know. It's a real thing though. And I will say this too. I mean, he obviously spent a fair bit of time training in Kansas City. So I've shared the training room with him quite a bit. I've rolled with him a handful of times. And not that I've rolled with a ton of flyweights, but I've rolled with, a fair number that came through Kansas City at one point. His style of grappling, I really do believe could give Pantoja some real issues. I've never rolled with Pantoja.
I won't be surprised if he submits Pantoja.
Yeah. And Pantoja is a submission machine. I mean, that's as soon as you start talking about Alexandre Pantoja's game, you're going to start talking about what an aggressive grappler, what an aggressive submission artist he is. He chases the submission very, very hard. But that style of grappling, Brandon Moreno has that style that it'll slow you down. It's fundamental, but even in its fundamentalness, that's not a word, fundamentality, whatever.
No, it's a word to me.
It's going to be a word. Even in its fundamentalness, he still has the speed. He can scramble. It's a weird dynamic where like he's still fast and scrambly, but he's also very positionally sound. And I want to say more so than Pantoja.
Oh yeah, for sure. Pantoja's a really good offensive fighter.
Yeah.
I'm not sure his defense is going to be able to hold up. I think he's not as good as Brandon Moreno is anywhere. I don't think he's as good of a striker. Maybe grappling, like if they a pure grappling match, but I don't think he's as good of a striker. I don't think he's as good at wrestling. And I don't think he's that good at just the overall fight game in terms of
stitching it together.
Offense and defense, of being able to put together, being able to do things inside. Like obviously Pantoja's won some great fights, but that was just basically being a bully, just going out there and going, come here, kid. And when you can't do that to a guy like Brandon Moreno, then what do you rely on?
Yeah.
Other than getting tired, because those fighting like that gets you tired. And we know Brandon Moreno is not going to get tired.
Yeah. That was when I went back and I looked at Pantoja's maybe last 5 or 6 fights, because when you look at his highlights, it's like, man, this guy is crazy.
It's unreal.
Yeah. Unreal. I mean, he's got some sensational finishes, but where he has had some of that wild success, it's come off the element of, just like you said, being a bully and guys not being able to handle him being a bully. Brandon Royval is going to meet you crazy for crazy. And he just got out crazy because Pantoja is just a little bit more of a slick grappler, whereas Royval is very, very good, but he was just able to get to the goal a little bit faster in terms of taking the back and really threatening. With Manel Kopp, Kopp wasn't active enough. Manel Kopp just, for whatever reason, got completely shut down in terms of trying to get his offense off. So credit to Pantoja, but it wasn't like he outstruck Kopp. I guess he suppose he did if he shut his game down, but it was more like Kopp couldn't ever really get going in that fight.
Yeah, like Kopp gave him some help.
He did, exactly. And then Alex Perez, Alex didn't even know what hit him before Pantoja was just like, like this.
Yeah, he just mauled him. He mauled that dude. He was like, come here.
And I guess my point is, and then on the flip side, so I'm like, okay, well, where has Brandon Moreno struggled? In the Kai Kara France fight, I will say that he did struggle a little bit finding Kai. Kai was being really good at maintaining range and being elusive, and then landing the calf kick when he could find it. I'm not saying that Brandon was getting completely outclassed in that fight until he got the finish. I don't think that's the case, but his face was pretty marked up, and the finish was the best result for him in that fight. There were moments where Kai was really, really in that fight and making Brandon work for it. So it's not as if Brandon Moreno is just this lights out perfect fighter either. But Pantoja is going to play right into that. Pantoja is not going to be elusive with the range like Kai was. Pantoja is going to come at him and do the things that have brought him success. And personally, I think that that's going to play right into Moreno's game.
Yeah, and you also got to think. So we talk about being a Mexican fighter. We also got to take into account the Pantoja's a Brazilian fighter. And what you know about Brazilian fighters is they can get emotional and they're very traditional in the ways that they think. And the fact that he's beaten this guy twice, like, so he's thinking, oh, I've beaten him twice. I should be able to beat him 3 times because I've beaten him twice. I just got to go out there and do it. I think he may I think he might underestimate Brandon a bit because he has beaten him twice, and he knows that. So, and not that I think he's going to underestimate him to the point where he doesn't think he's good, but I think he's going to underestimate him to the point where he thinks he could just go out there and finish him the way he finished Alex Perez.
Yeah.
And that could be his demise, because if he doesn't, he's going to get tired. And we know what happens when you get tired. Because again, that's where the emotion comes in. When you get emotional, you get tired even that much faster. So I could see him going out there. I could see him having a good round or two and then getting tired, and then Brandon Moreno just taking over.
Do you think Brandon is going to expect that as well and just sort of allow the fight to unfold maybe for the first round or two and let him kind of do his thing and just stay mostly safe and defensive and then look to turn it up? Or do you think that he's going to meet fire with fire in the beginning, knowing that he's got the better boxing and more fundamental grappling?
You know, that's hard to say. Because Brandon has been, like I said, in terms of information, he's been collecting information from a lot of different guys. You know, like after James Krause, then he went over to obviously Saif Saud, and like, so now he's dealing with a guy who would probably be more willing to fight fire with fire. But Saif is not he's not a dumb coach. If he realizes that's not Brandon Moreno's best option, then he's going to say, hey, listen, let's just sit back a little bit, defend yourself, and then let's wait a little bit. But so it's hard to say which approach he's going to take. I think it really does come down to what Saif says.
Yeah. He's also working with, I don't know, do you know Jorge Capetillo? Do you know who that is?
No.
He's his boxing coach.
Capetillo?
Yeah, Capetillo. He's based in Vegas, but he's trained some of the best pure boxers. And I wish I would have taken the time to get the names for you, because you'd go, oh, wow. But he came to Kansas City quite a bit with Brandon when he was here. And I got to be around him. Phenomenal boxing coach. So I love that he has Saif for sort of like the overall MMA mind and his main corner. Of course, it's an MMA fight, but he works a lot with specialist coaches as well to develop the skills, and then sort of like goes to Saif to stitch them all together, which I think, to your point, it's like he's getting information from the best sources that he can. And he's at a point in his career where I feel like some guys can't do that, where they train over here for jiu-jitsu and they train over here for boxing. Like, it doesn't go well for them. But he's at a point in his career where he's gathered enough information and stitched it all together to where now he's just getting the details, little sprinkles on top.
Yeah, you have to be able to do that. And I mean, the better information you can get and the better you can put it together to make your game work, the better. Some people just can't do it. You know, some people they're just not that smart. The reality is some fighters just are kind of dumb, right? So like, that's why we talk to fighters the way we do. Shut up and run.
Dean. No,
listen, put it this way: name 10 people, and then like 2 of them probably are halfway decently intelligent.
80-20 rule. I got you.
Yeah, it's the 80-20 rule. Yeah, for sure.
So I take it your pick here is Brandon.
Yeah, my pick is Brandon here, and it sucks that I'm not. I mean, he's the favorite for a reason. I'm sure he's the favorite, right? He's the favorite for a reason. And I just have to go with the numbers, right? The numbers suggest to me, the numbers and the facts suggest to me that he should win this fight. Not easily. I think he either finishes or wins the last 3 rounds. But he might lose the first one.
I like it. I was sitting here as you were describing that. I was thinking about the last few times I've been backstage after a Brandon Moreno win. Both after he beat Kai. I remember we were backstage, and it's like, I don't know the right analogy, but like, I'd be talking to him. We're like, you know how it is after the main event finishes and they're like, everybody comes backstage and it's super, super busy and crowded.
Right.
I'd be looking around, doing my thing, doing my interviews or whatever. And then all of a sudden it's like, Alexandre Pantoja would just be there.
Just like that face popping up, like, damn, dog,
Yes, just like
what you
waiting
doing here?
in the
like,
wings. Yeah, just like, hello, I'm here.
well,
I'm ready.
and he's not wrong for that because he's earned that right. Like,
Yeah,
if I beat a guy twice, I would probably be like that too.
that's what I'm saying.
And I'm happy for Pantoja that he's getting an opportunity to give it a third shot because he
Yeah,
earned it and he deserves it.
that's
So I'm
exactly what
happy
I'm
for him.
saying. He's
Yeah.
been thinking about this fight, this particular third matchup, with like this giddiness for several years now. And he was there against, when Brandon beat Figueiredo last time. I just wrapped up an interview with Brandon. Oh, there's Pantoja.
God, no, what do you want? Calm down.
So he's been this has been on his mind for quite a while. So I'll be interested to see. I don't know what the mentality is like during fight week, but we're gonna find out soon. Because when do you get there?
I get there tomorrow.
Oh, you got a lot going on for fight week international.
Kind of, yeah. I'm doing a couple of different shows. Got a couple different gigs at the UFC X. So
Nice.
got to put on my people pleasing hat.
Yeah.
And get ready to get out there. And I hate doing that during this time of year because it's so hot. And the last thing I want to do is be standing outside talking to people.
I promise I'm only going to steal your stuff for the weigh-in show because you and I just forgot. You and I are on a breakdown panel. And can you imagine if I just took everything from the breakdown we just did?
No. Hey, listen.
That'd be some decent.
Right I know that. Hey, she's like, cut that part out. I got a lot of, hey, don't worry. I got a lot of more. Take whatever you want. I like it. I got more. You know what I'm saying?
Just kidding.
Information is information. But can I just say this? As we were talking about Kai Kara France, I couldn't help but make this association in my head because I always thought Kai Kara France, he's so cute and little. And he looks like you when you were 105 pounds.
Please.
You know how like when you're about to fight, when you used to fight,
yeah,
and you used to have that little face, you'd be
I had a little face.
You'd be like,
yeah,
get right away. Like, that looks like Kai Kara France. Just like
back when I was skinny and braided up, ready to fight.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, just like
that's like listen. If anyone ever compares me to Kai Kara France, I love that. Thank you.
That's a good compliment. That's a compliment for you. Yeah. I don't know how he's gonna take that, but
he probably won't see it. It's all right. He should take it as a compliment. Hopefully, yeah. I sure do.
On, man.
I sure do.
We just trying to have some fun out here.
Always fun with you, Dean. Thank you so much for your time. And sounds like I'll see you Thursday when I get into town.
All right, let's do it. Let's have some fun.
Thanks as always.